Welcome to Frank and Honest, where we're sometimes frank and always honest. Our goal is to cultivate happiness through curious conversations. This voice you're hearing now is Allie.
This is Tiffany, or Tiff, but we are all about health, happiness, and having a good time. The Everyday Adventurer! That's us. That's us. That's us, folks. If you're tuning in today and you're like, what are we yapping about? That is it.
The Everyday Adventure. That was a great intro there. You just sort of felt it, didn't you?
Yeah, you got to feel it. You got to roll with it. Got to vibe with it. That's what it's all about. For those of you that are like, what in the world is the Everyday Adventure?
Yeah.
Allie's going to give a really good description.
I am.
Yeah.
The Everyday Adventure, meaning that if you could go out on an adventure every day, what would that look like? And what would it be? And every day can be an adventure, depending your outlook, right? But then ultimately, I mean, are you set up in a way that if somebody asked you to go on the adventure that you dream of, could you say yes? Mm-hmm. That's really, really what it is. If somebody asked you, can you go on this adventure, and it's your ultimate idea of what that would be, could you say yes? Are you living every day to go on that adventure?
Yes, this whole concept started for us several years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I think Allie came up with some wild ideas, and she's like, you know what? I want to be in Century bicycling shape.
Oh, yeah. It happened because, I'll tell you the story. I remember this story.
Century is 100 miles on a bike, for those of you that don't know.
So I was watching something, and this chick is like super buff, super ripped. She goes on runs every morning, and I'm like, man, I wonder what she's training for. And ultimately, she was training to just be alive, but she wanted to be in half marathon shape. So typically when you see somebody who's like super yoked.
Somebody super fit.
Yeah, super fit. They are typically training for a specific event a lot of times. And this chick really wasn't. She just wanted to be in half marathon shape. Meaning if somebody asked her, hey, do you want to run a half marathon? She could say yes, and it would feel good, right? She would finish it. It would feel good. Maybe she wouldn't win the race, right? But she would finish and it would feel good. And so that sparked the idea of I want to be in 100-mile shape, because what if somebody asked me to ride 100 miles tomorrow? Could I say yes, and would it feel good? And when we started this, the answer would have been we could have finished it, but it wouldn't have felt good.
The felt good part. That's that's a critical part.
Yeah, because you want to enjoy the adventure, and the better it feels, the more you enjoy it. And so that was how that kind of morphed for me and us, where we turned into, hey, I want to be in 100-mile shape. So if you ask me, we had this conversation this morning at the coffee shop. And like, if you ask me, hey, do you want to go outside right now and ride 100 miles? Sure. I looked at him and I was like, well, I could say yes. And we'd finish and it would feel good. My legs are a little tired because we did some things this weekend, right? But could I ride 100 miles today and it would feel good? Yes, even though we shredded our legs this weekend and a little sore.
I can still do it.
100%. And so that's what that is. And so the Everyday Adventure, because that was the peak of adventure for us when we started. Was, can you ride 100 miles and be good? Can you feel good? Can you do things afterwards? Where are you at after you do it? So it's the Everyday Adventure. That was the pinnacle of our Everyday Adventure. Now it's morphing, for us, right? For us.
For other people,
it's morphed since then. You know, we became friends with a couple ultra runners in this area. And of course, I Strava stalk people. Strava is my favorite social media because it's just people doing cool stuff. And I Strava stalk these ladies, and they did this amazing trip recently. And I thought, shoot, if they asked me to go on that trip, I don't think I could say yes and feel good the whole time doing it because I'm not in XYZ shape right now. And so
it's like 40-mile run shape. Was it Becky Liddell?
It was Wendy Jaglowski. Yeah. And so, Amber. Wendy and Amber.
If you guys are listening to this, giving you a shout out.
You guys are ballers.
Because
they did this trip. Yeah. They climbed Mount Whitney, then they frolicked through the woods of Yosemite, and then they frolicked again another day in Yosemite. I was like, these ladies put in like 80 miles in 3 days and climbed to the tallest point in the continental U.S. And if they asked me if I could go, I could have done maybe one of the days. And so I thought, okay, so that's my new marker, right? Mm-hmm. What would it be like to go on that kind of everyday adventure?
So the first question to ask yourself is, what is it? Like, what do you see yourself doing?
Yeah, what would be your
What's the
cool
thing?
adventure?
And right now, so we'll talk about floor and ceiling, where you're at now, where you want to go. What do you think your minimum it is? But the thing is like, what does that look like for you? There's so many people out there that are like, oh, I admire you. We hear this a lot. I admire you guys so much for all the physical, the health things that we see. We'll post stuff on social media, on Strava, and people are admirable of those things. But the thing is that's where we're at now. That's not where we started. And when I take the clock back, and I think of some integral parts of where some of these crazy goals started, it was really because, like, going from your youth, I'll say like in your 20s or whatever, where you can do anything, the body feels good, supports you more often than not. And then you get into this like adulting stage, and it's like, well, shoot, I'm not a professional athlete, but I'm still an athlete.
Yeah.
So the everyday adventurer, that the weekend warrior, how do you create a lifestyle that supports your physical desires?
How do you go out and warrior on the weekend and still be walking on Monday?
Yeah. Because it's like the staying healthy is very important. Because people that aren't very active and then go do huge things can end up with injuries. So you want your body.
And that's not what we're promoting.
No, you want your body to support you in these endeavors.
Yeah. Although I will get injured if it's a big enough adventure. Like if you're like,
if you don't train for it,
I'm really, really sore and I can't walk, but it's something epic, I'm down.
Well, like my legs are sore right now because we rode like a 32-mile bike ride mountain bike ride over lots of elevation. And then we're like, hey, do you want to go on a run the next day?
Because I want to keep up with these ladies.
Yeah, because it's motivating. So, yes. The everyday adventure, that's what it means for us, but it can mean anything for anybody. And
your everyday adventure could be you want to be able to play with your grandkids. You want to be able to pick them up and hold them and do whatever. You want to be able to play with your kids. You want to be able to go on a walk. Go on a walk with them.
Go on a walk around the block with confidence.
Yeah, it does. About the only requirement for this everyday adventure is physically moving.
And saying yes.
Yeah.
Saying yes. There's things that support the everyday adventurer to their success, though. Yes. And I'm just going to touch on a few of them. One is nutrition. It's really fun to experiment on yourself. And know what makes it, like, notice the things that make you feel good. Yeah. If you have absolutely no idea where to start, this is where we can help you for sure. Because Allie and I are performance coaches. We're both athletes, college athletes, and I still consider myself an athlete.
Try.
I may not be getting paid from like some, at least yet, from some big name like sports company, but I do get paid because this is what we do. Yeah. This is what we do. This is a lifestyle that we've created. Nutrition is huge. Input equals output.
Yeah. So food is fuel, right? And so fueling an adventure lifestyle, if you want to go out and you want to do things, you want your body to work well for you, you have to fuel your body in a way that it works well. So I am, okay, let me see. How do I put this? I'm a consumer of other people's knowledge in the way of I will listen and read and hear out dang near any technique or idea people have, especially when it comes to nutrition. And nutrition is a slippery slope. So I'm not about to give direct advice on this because every human is different. However, what I will say is to have an intuitive approach to nutrition is the way to go. And there's all sorts of different ideas. So what it is figuring out what works for you. And the only way to do that is to pay attention and go on adventures and see how it makes you feel. Because there's all sorts of different ideas. Like some people do really, really well on a vegan lifestyle. Some people do really, really well on a carnivore lifestyle. Some people do really, really well for a minute, like
keto
or no gluten or whatever it is. And some people do well on dang near anything. It's what do you do well doing? And that's the most important question. I think a lot of times people try to really push an idea for whatever reason, like the keto thing, right? Keto is really trendy right now. And it could be a good answer for you, or for me, or for Tiff, or for anybody. It could be the way to go. The only way to know is to try it and to pay attention to what you're doing. And that's kind of the important underlying thing of everything we do is being intuitive to the point of you're doing different things, what is your body, what is the input, what is the output that your body is producing?
How do you feel?
And is it getting you closer to said goal?
Yeah. A good question to ask yourself if you're everybody is so different, and you make such a good point. There's no like one size fits all nutrition thing for anybody. There's no one size fits all workout regimen for anybody.
Sorry, I wish we had a magic pill for this, but truly there's not one.
We do have some starting points and some guides that we can share, and we will do that. But ask yourself this question. Okay, so a Ferrari and like a junker car, well, like a lemon car, take different fuel.
Yeah.
And if you want to be a Ferrari, you got to fuel the way a Ferrari needs fueled. If you want to be a junker car that starts sometimes and doesn't start other times, then you're going to fuel accordingly. So
if you're going to be a big diesel truck, what would that fuel look like? It would probably be different than a Ferrari, right?
So how are you fueling yourself within whatever your goal is? Start there. It's a great spot to start. And then humans, I love that life at least in the United States, food availability is very available.
It's abundant.
It's very abundant. We have a lot of options. But I challenge you to consider where you're getting your fuel. Is if you're drinking most of your calories, maybe you could just reevaluate or just take note. Take note of your consumption. And then just notice, pay attention, because as soon as you become aware of the things that you are eating, you're going to maybe question some of those things. And healthy food starts with noticing how your body feels and how you feel when you eat it.
Yep.
We're not going to dive into the details there, but because we could go really far into nutrition.
That's like its own.
It's its whole own thing.
Well, and there's 7 million podcasts out there about nutrition. Just listen to some of them, see how they resonate, and see, where you go with it.
Nutrition is huge. I'm really big on breathing.
You are.
Several years ago, Allie and I, we started this whole entrepreneur lifestyle. And one of the first things I noticed was I'm like doing all this personal development, all these things, and I'm starting to notice in Allie, of course, I'm not noticing it myself, even though I'm doing the same exact thing.
It's always easy to notice in other people.
Right? And I'm like, you're not, like, why are you holding your breath? Like, we're really stressed. Okay, starting your own business, if anybody has done that, or you change a job, or you change something dramatic in your life, you're going to notice some stressors, whether they're good or bad stresses. Yeah. But I would notice, especially when we're under stress, like Allie would just be holding her breath. She's not breathing. And then all of a sudden she'd be...
and this huge sigh, like, I've never had air in my life.
And of course I noticed it in Allie, but then the more research I start doing on breathing, and like breathing is good. Breathing is good. So having we take breathing for granted because it's something that automatically happens. But when stress or other things get introduced into our life, our breathing patterns will change. And
well, the thing, you said something really good there. It's automatic. It is automatic unless you want to change the way you feel. Yep. Right? Like your body will just take a breath. Right? Eventually. If you're holding your breath, your body will eventually take a breath. But if you want to change the way that you feel, you can breathe certain ways on purpose, right? If you want to feel more relaxed, then you think about having relaxed, deep, full, complete breaths. And I think you can change the way you feel based on the way you breathe. Now, if you don't want to change, if you're not thinking about changing the way you want to feel with your breath, your body will just breathe. Yep. Totally. Which is really interesting when you really start thinking about it.
And you can get into this with like meditation and yoga. That's some of the stuff that I've done if you need some practice to help get you on the way. And there's a lot of different ways. Again, there's several things you can research. But I want to get into the physiology side of the adventure lifestyle. So, okay, physiology. Allie and I we're great at experimenting because this is an in-one experiment. Yeah. The experiment's on me. The experiment's on Allie. But we do a lot of the similar things, nutrition-wise. And we have a lot of the same, like, big goals.
Yeah. We have a lot of the same goals, especially as pertaining to adventure.
But how we approach the training is much different. Yeah. And that's what I want to dive into a little bit more here. We were just chatting with Joanne, one of our good friends, about this. And she asked, well, Tiff, how can you still do the big, long cycling, these 150-mile rides, if you're not doing the same cycling training that Allie is every day? It's a really good question. I ask myself that. We ask each other that. Yeah. And the truth is it's not not everything is about just the time spent on the bike leading up to the performance.
No,
Right.
no. The idea to get in adventure shape is to get in adventure shape for you. It does me no good to get myself in adventure shape for Tiff.
Yep.
Right, and vice versa. It's what does your body need? What do you enjoy doing? Right, a big factor in living an adventure lifestyle and prepping and doing all this work to get there. You know, the work of eating healthy, it is work because it has become so easy to eat. It's easy to eat in the United States, right? For most people. Of course, there's the caveat of there's always exceptions.
Nothing is ever
and I'm not
always-
insensitive to that, okay? But let's say in general, in the U.S., it's pretty easy to eat. So because of that, though, is it easy? And are you taking directed steps to get you where you want? Right. So I think that it is important to pay attention to yourself as an individual and doing the things that also bring you joy. Right. So joy and easy and all the different things, all the different factors that go into it. So for me, I enjoy riding my bike outside a lot more than I do inside. However, we live in Idaho. And I also have some things about being cold. I'm working through them. But it's at some point, if the street's icy and I want to get a really good workout where I'm sweating and doing a bunch of things, it gets a little bit tricky, right? So one of the ways to do that is indoor trainer. I like the indoor trainer. I think it's fun to me. It's a good time. Would I rather be outside? Yes. But would you rather yourself into the ground?
There's always
so
options.
it's and there's time and a place, right? And so for various reasons, I enjoy riding my bike inside. I really do. And so when you look at, let's just take us, for example, and wanting to be in this 100-mile shape, I do it a little bit differently than Tiff, right? Like if I get a chance and we're at home and I have my bike set up and I do all that, I'll go ride it for, like this morning, I rode it for like an hour and a half. Where Tiff, on the other hand, what'd you do this morning?
Well, I was pretty sleepy this morning, so I got some extra Z's and I did some yoga.
Yeah. And what are we going to do this weekend?
The same thing. We're both crushing a century.
Yeah. So we'll ride 100 miles this weekend. And it really is based on, so we get there different ways. So the thing about having this lifestyle is getting there. There's certain things you can do to get there, and it can be a little bit easier. It can be a little bit more simple. And then just tuning into what you really, really enjoy. For one of the things that we both really enjoy when it comes to the physiology side is, there's being able to ride a bike, and then there's being able to move, right, and function really well as a human. And there's mobility stuff and different things like that. So we have these little programs that we set up, and I don't know if anybody knows this, but I also have like ADD, so they can't be forever, right?
It's not the same.
We got this 6-month plan for you, and it's the same 6-month plan. And I'd be like, listen, now I'm back in college athletics. I think we had one strength coach who we had the same plan for like 2 years, and I'm like, bro, listen, this isn't good enough. We got it. It's time to mix it up here.
Yeah, get some variety in your life.
So we do little 30-day. I'm not going to call them 30-day challenges because.
No, it's a 30-day.
But it's 30 day. It's a
commitment.
30-day workout. Hey, this is what you're gonna do for 30 days, and then 30 days it changes. 30-day it changes. 30-day it changes. And that works really, really well for us. And then it ends up being, hey, this I like this about this 30 days, so I'm gonna put that in next month, and I'm gonna put that in next month, and you could keep little things that are the same all the time because if you enjoy it and it helps, keep doing it. Is the way we look at it.
Yeah, and these are, I really, really enjoy these. So let's take, for example, whatever it is, I don't know, cycling, and you need abs.
Yeah,
Okay,
it helps.
so-
Otherwise, your back hurts.
Well, no.
So
humans need abs.
Yeah.
Humans need abs to do things. If your back hurts, it's a high probability you might have a weakness in the abs.
Yeah.
So let's just start there because it's an easy one.
Okay.
Okay, so say we have this 30-day program, month 1. Doing these abs and starting to notice these differences, and then you switch to like legs for the next 30 days, but you still want to do abs. Guess what? You still can do abs.
Yeah.
The thing is, these 30-day fitness commitments are so wonderful because you can do them anywhere. Allie and I travel a great deal with what we do.
Yeah.
And we got to the point where we're like, well, shoot, what happens when we don't have the bike? What happens when it's freezing outside and you can't do this or that?
Mm-hmm.
What happens when you have all these limitations where there's kids running around or this or that? All these things are in your way.
It's raining.
It's raining, the weather, like, so these are just excuses.
Yeah.
Piling up that are preventing you from achieving whatever goal it is. Yeah. And these were bare minimum things that you can do that take less than 30 minutes every day.
Yeah.
Like, especially in week one. Week one is probably like a 10-minute deal. And it gets progressively more challenging as the 30 days are coming.
Yeah. So that way it's challenging too, right?
It's challenging. It's a simple commitment. It doesn't mean it's easy.
Yeah, simple and easy are different.
Simple and easy. These literally changed my life. Going from just incremental mindset shifts to do something that makes you feel proud.
Yeah.
And is slowly, incrementally gotten to this point. And I can say with confidence that if somebody asked me tomorrow to go ride a century, even 200 miles.
Yeah.
I would say yes. If somebody asked me to hike to Grand Teton, the top of the Tetons, I'd say yes. If somebody, and I wouldn't just say yes because I want to go. I say yes with confidence because I know my body can support me. But this is my goal.
Yeah.
I want to feel good. I want to be able to do the things and live the longest, healthiest life that I can.
Yeah.
And that's really a big part of it. So the adventure lifestyle is just that. And that's something that Allie and I are really passionate about helping people achieve. Because it usually starts with something small.
Yeah.
Like incremental changes that help you get there. And then all of a sudden you're there and it's like, oh man.
Yeah.
Now that I've done this, what else can I do?
Yeah. And if you're thinking, hey, I can't change everything at once, that's probably true. But it's one of those, what's a small change that you can implement? What's a small thing? You know, when we say we started this, and we were both college athletes, so it is programmed in us. We know how to do different workout programs to achieve specific results, for sure. But it's how did this current state happen? It really happened with 5 squats a day, 10 squats a day. You know, just doing something every day that gets you into that mindset. Currently, Tiff tickled the idea of floor and ceiling. And I want to go into that just a little bit more.
Let's do it.
So I heard this. You hear this a lot. Well, I just don't have time to do it. Okay, I get it, because time is everybody's one great resource. I think it's the greatest resource that gets underappreciated and undervalued. But so time. If I had floor, ceiling, and ideal. Okay, so if a lot of people are like, well, I can't get to the gym for an hour, so I'm just not going to go because I want to go do my cardio. I got to go get weights in. I got to go do this. I want to do my sauna. Got to do my cold bath and all these things. And all of a sudden you have this 2.5 hour regimen that, well, if I can't do it all, then I'm not going to do any.
Oh, slippery slope.
If I can't do it all, then I'm not going to do any. And
that stresses you out.
It does stress me out because there's such a big there's so much, like I'll say, so much real estate between none and everything.
Yep.
And so this is the floor and the ceiling and the ideal. So the floor is, or the ceiling is that, or the ideal is my 2.5 hours. I got my cardio in, I got my weightlifting in, I got my ice bath, got my sauna, got my red light therapy. What else do we got, right? It's your ideal. What is it? Your ceiling is what's the most I've ever done, and is today a day for that? And then your floor is what's the minimum I'm going to do today? Right. So currently, the floor for us is 20 squats and 10 push-ups. If I can't do any of the other things I can do in a day, right? If I can't do my ideal, ride my bike for an hour and a half, lift for an hour, stretch for a half hour, all these things. If I can't do my ideal, then can I get the floor out of the way? So 20 squats, 10 push-ups. That's our floor. If you don't have a floor, I recommend it. It works out well, and it takes 2 minutes, 3 minutes max. And that's if you take a break in between of like a minute. It really is really fast.
If you can't do 10 push-ups, start with 2 push-ups.
Yeah, if you can't do push-ups at all, cool. Do squats. Can you do some toe raises? What can you do?
Incline, decline.
Where you're at, and what's the minimum number that if you did it, you're like, okay.
I did
cool.
it. I committed.
Yeah. Is 10 push-ups hard to do for you?
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes, yes. But for
Sometimes
the
it
most
is.
part
It
now,
hurts.
no, they'll
No.
get done and you
No.
don't have to think, will I be able to do this?
Yeah.
It's just something that you can do that you know will physically help your body get there. And really what it is training your brain to do something.
The hardest part is literally just
Yeah.
remembering to do it. It's the physical, the commitment to do it physically. Whatever the floor is,
Yeah.
I mean, that's relative to you. So it's the mental commitment, but it's those incremental changes, right?
Mm-hmm.
For the body to support you in any physical endeavor, what does it take? Like a minimum of 90 days for your body to make some adjustments, but for your connective tissues and for all that,
yeah, I know what
like
you're talking about.
270 days for your connective tissues to actually support your body where it needs to go. So incremental change is the way to go. If you're on the couch and you want to be a bodybuilder in 3 months, you're probably going to get injured.
You don't just start bench pressing 100-pound dumbbells if you've never done it.
Right. So if you look at people that are at like peak physical performance, it's easy to look at a person like that and say, well, shoot, I'd like to be there. But if you look at that person and their journey to be at peak physical performance has taken years. It's a lifestyle. That's why this is the adventure lifestyle.
Yeah.
This is a lifestyle. This isn't like a weekend warrior where I'm just going to do these things or do those things. I'm going to do this and then I'm done. No, this is to support like a person to do something awesome and live their best life.
Yeah.
The way to do that is through adventure. Adventure could mean anything. It doesn't have to be on a bike. Or you don't have to go into the wild.
It doesn't have to be in the mountains.
It can be a walk around the block. It can be doing some cardio in your basement. It can be going to a fitness class. It can be absolutely anything.
Yeah.
But it is a lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah, because really that is it. Life is a great adventure. So how are you best living this adventurous life?
And because we're so passionate about it, we want to have the ability to share what we've learned, what has worked for us, going from this to that. Because people may look at Allie and I today and be like, man, I'm so, like, I have so much like gratitude, or I wish I could do that. We hear these comments and the funny thing is I said this over the weekend is, this is no longer part of my identity, so I don't talk about it anymore, but I got in this stinky car accident several years ago, like 10 plus years ago, where I had back surgery. I had bulging discs and I have all these things, right? And it used to be part of my identity. Yeah. That was the thing that was holding me back. People don't see the depression. Yeah. They don't see the struggle. They didn't see the weight gain from all the steroids and the depression.
They did, but people are pretty nice, so they don't say anything out loud.
Right? But then today, people will see the performance but like I didn't just start riding 150 miles. No. I didn't start saying, okay, well on this last Saturday, we're like, well, today we're going to ride our bikes. Yeah. Today I'm going to ride my bike in the wild.
And I packed enough snacks for 8 hours.
And that's what I'm doing. And the cool part is that it's a journey. Yeah. We're all on the way, on the journey. It's just where are you at in the process? And honoring that for you, letting go of fear and comparison, some of those things that can hold a person back from taking that next step. And it's always more fun to do with a friend. So if you have a buddy, but listen,
if you don't have a buddy,
you don't have to do this.
You can Strava stalk us.
Yes. Most of my handles on my social media and stuff is Tiffy Bell. Allie's, I think, is Allie Gorney.
Never taken. I don't know if you guys can guess why. Allie Gorney. How many of those do you know?
Right. But this is just a little step of encouragement to open up the door to this lifestyle that we have so much fun with. And would love to have more friends. Like I want my friends to live as long as possible, so I have friends to play with as we age. And age is a good thing because it means I'm still living.
Yeah. If you're lucky enough to get old, take care of that body.
Right. The adventure lifestyle.
Yeah. So if you want to know more about this or get linked up with any of the programs that we have, just reach out to us either in this platform or find us on Facebook. We're currently under On Performance. On Performance. Hi, I know my company's name. On Point Performance. Or just on our personal pages, honestly. Yep. it's part of our lifestyle. So reach out to us, and then we can hook you up with some of the stuff and let you know more info about
Yeah.
what we're doing, share ideas. Plus, we'd really like to see your adventures. Is really what I'm into.
Yeah.
I'm into seeing other people's adventures. So if you've been like, hey, have you done this yet? Share it with us, because maybe I haven't, and maybe I want to, and I just don't know yet.
Yeah. So if you like this, subscribe, give us a shout out. We're on all the platforms, Spotify, YouTube, all the things. Again, thanks for tuning in. Yep. This is the T in the TNA.
Yeah.
And we're frank and honest.
Yep. Thanks.
Thank you to our sponsor, Radon Professionals. Radon Professionals specializes in radon testing and mitigation. Serving all of Idaho and Wyoming, Radon Professionals can help you breathe the healthiest air on the block. For more info, check out our website at radon-professionals.com.